So the inspection's next week and I've got to get the gap seal done. This is my Mylar gap seal. It's comes from Germany. It's what they use on gliders. And I'm just looking for the dimensions. So there's 5 meters there, 65 millimeters width. And just got to cut that. It comes with some tape along the side there with which to stick it on, but I'm going to overlap it with some clear 3M tape as well. So I've rigged the tail plane and I've washed it and dried it. We're just going to probably give it a bit of a wipe off with some acetone next, which worries me a little bit because I don't want to affect the paint. We'll have a look. As is always the case with this type of job, preparation is key. So I spent a good half an hour cleaning the area off where the tape was going to stick on, and as I say, I used a bit of acetone just to cut that back, make sure there was no grime or grease on there, and that seemed to help the tape really grab it quite securely. So there we go, that's the first lengths. Cut them with a pair of scissors, and I just loosely taped them in place to see whether it would bridge the gap with the elevator down, which it seems to do. Reasonable overlap on that piece of tube in there, and this would just sit and flex up and down, so I'm now going to try and stick it on. I used a couple of bits of masking tape just to hold the gap seal in position whilst I could get a feel for where it needed to be, just get things lined up. I think one of the main things is one of those jobs you don't want to rush. You want to be sure that everything's clean, you've got everything to hand that you might need, because once this stuff is stuck down it seems to really grab, and you won't be peeling it off without doing some damage. It's also worth trying to keep your hands clean, something I struggle with, but if you don't, you'll end up with sticky fingerprints on the back of your tape and just grubby marks everywhere stuck underneath the transparent tape you put on at the end. As you can see, you can just about get away with letting the seal rest on the wing, but it still grabs quite keenly. So if there's any pressure on there at all, once it's down, it's down. I think the knack is to get it into place and then push it all down in one go. You can see the concentration, because I knew if I got it stuck in the wrong place there'd be some serious swearing trying to get it back off again, and I really didn't want to have to bugger it all up. We've got good overlap. There's a slight lip, so that's why I've got the other 3M tape, just to smooth that off. See if we can do the same with this one. In hindsight and watching it back, what I would recommend is you rest the gap seal where you want it to be, and then you draw some faint lines just so that when you're trying to stick it down you've got something to follow. All in all though, I don't think it went too bad for somebody just doing it by eye, and obviously it would have helped if I could have stood over it a little bit more. That one went pretty good too. So let's just press it down, and then we're going to put some more 3M tape on it. As you can see, it's pretty rigid. It's slightly concave. So yeah, good stuff. Just hope the underneath goes so well. So that's looking along that seal. So just to make sure the leading edge is secure, I've got some of this all-weather 3M tape, and we're going to put that on just to hold that leading edge down. This is what it looks like. Looks like massive sellotape. So that's with the 3M tape on. Let's see how it deflects then. Go on, let's give it a bit of a... There we go. So the rear edge isn't fixed, but the airflow will keep that down, and it's slightly concave as well. So I've just got to get the underneath done now. That's the tricky bit. Okay. So that's the one underneath. So we put the 3M tape on it. Just got to clear these drain holes out again, make sure that they can drain. And then we're going to work out how to de-rig it, because that now covers up the pins. But I think a bit of fiddling and brief spell of swearing, we should be able to get those in and out. So yeah, they're on there pretty secure. So in summary, I think it went really well. This is the 65mm gap seal. The only place I could find to get this was in Germany, and it's a bit of a compromise on the large gap seal for the shadow. You don't get to use, the tape on there is about 1 centimetre wide, but not all of that you get to use really, so you use about 7mm of it to make sure that you're still covering the gap when the elevator's deflected all the way down. But this 3M weatherproof tape sees that the leading edge then has got a nice seal ramped up, and that seems to stick really well, and because it's weatherproof, hopefully that won't yellow too much and it'll put up with the UV. So I'm pleased with that. For de-rigging, you can see how well that's stuck now, and you can get your fingers in there and just fiddle those pins out that I've already done. So that would be the only two compromises, is if you could do a 75mm wide one, that would be perfect. Give you loads of overlap. And I say it is a little bit of a fiddle to get the de-rigging pins out, but it ain't too bad. So I'm much more pleased with that than a piece of Velcro stuck to the trailing edge. Really good. So the only thing that's really defeating me at the moment is this connector, or the servo for the trim tab. I've got there's 5 pins in there, and I've got a live at 12 o'clock and a live at 9 o'clock when I press either up or down. Can't pick up the fact that there's an earth though, so I'm not detecting an earth anywhere, which seems a bit odd to me. It was working, the trim tab was working, and mysteriously stopped. I am at 10 volts again, so I do wonder whether it requires something a little bit more healthy to get that running. All the connectors nicely oiled up and cleaned, so I don't think it's that. So I am confused. Anybody got any pointers? Please feel free to tell me.